Hello everyone, welcome to Flesh and Blog. This is Alvaro and today we're going to talk about the Japanese Monarch print run issue, something that has come up lately with one of the Monarch pre-release events for Dusk Till Dawn, and that raises some concerns about the upcoming national championship events. This is something that has already been discussed both in Discord and Twitter, and we wanted to add some context to the issue and raise some concerns and talk about it and make it get to the proper people to find solutions and clear things up. For my Spanish audience, I apologize. I just wanted to do this video in English so it has a little bit more reach, because I think it's a very important issue that needs to be addressed and solved. So yeah, that's the whole point. So let's get into it. So first of all, we'll give out some context about the different prints or printing sites for the Flesh and Blood. Flesh and Blood is being printed basically in two places, with a third one used in certain specific situations that won't matter for the topic of this video. The two most important ones are Japan and Belgium, right? Japan was the first one to start printing the game with Welcome to Wraith Alpha. Soon after that, the game also started being printed in Belgium. And from that moment onwards, it's been printed in both sites. Although Japan has skipped some sets, some products. Notably, the only place where Monarch First Edition was printed was in Belgium, which will be important later. And also, Belgium is the only place where the localized product is being made. That doesn't matter too much with this issue, but it's just information. So yeah, basically we have Japan and Belgium together. The Japanese product is mainly distributed through Asia, Oceania, and some part of North America, and the Belgium one distributes to Europe and South America and most of North America, the east and central parts. So yeah, here in Spain we've been having mostly Belgian product. Sometimes we've received some of the Japanese print run, but it's been the minority. Yeah. And why do we talk about this? Well, before we dive into the main point of today's video, I would like to remember the Outsiders print run issue, right? Maybe you didn't knew about this, or you were not affected by it, so it's not that big of a deal. But there were some differences between the packaging in Outsiders for the Belgian prints and the Japanese prints, right? If you look at the product sheet that's posted in the Flesh and Blood's website, you can see that the Belgian print run was the correct one. According to that sheet, there was only guaranteed one rare plus slot in the Outsiders packs, and one card that was a rare higher in rarity. The other spots were more variable, let's say. However, in the Japanese print run, there were always at least two rare or higher rarity cards. That's something that was the standard for all packs previous to Outsiders. Outsiders was the first one that only guaranteed one rare per pack. Maybe that's where the issue lied down. Maybe that's how it came up. But the fact was that we had two different packs depending of where they were made, and that made practicing for Pro Tour Baltimore a little bit awkward, because you had some packs in one part of the world, some different packs in another part of the world, and how would they solve that? How would they do it? If they stick to one print run, how would the other part of the world that has the other print run prepare for the event? This was acknowledged by the mothership. There was an article that discussed this issue, and found a solution that was kind of a middle ground. They just said, okay, so we have two different print runs. We are not going to use any of them. We will use something that mixes both things up, and you will have to figure it out on the fly, and just focus on the fundamentals of the game and fundamentals of drafting and the card evaluation and that stuff, and you will be fine. That's how it went for Pro Tour Baltimore. And yeah, that's how it went. That issue affected, I don't know, 400 people, 500 people maybe. I don't know how many players we were at Baltimore. I was there, and it was a little bit concerning, but it was a small portion of the scene, right? Just the Pro Tour players, not that many people considering the whole population of the game, right? But it was an issue that probably should have not came up, but it did, and that it needed addressing, which they addressed, and it needed fixing, which apparently they have not done. And that's what brings us to the main topic of the video. It's the Belgian reprints of Monarch, right? So we have that's still done right around the corner. Next weekend it comes out to the public, and you can get your cases and open your legendaries and whatever. And since it's a supplemental set, non-draftable, and since Monarch came right after the pandemic, where it was a little harder to draft, LSS made the decision to include Monarch Draft in both the pre-release events for Dusk Till Dawn, since both sets are related around the war between the monastery and Solana and blah blah blah. Not talking about lore here, and also include that Monarch Draft in the limited portion of the national championships. I believe all national championships. I'm not 100% certain if all national championships have Monarch Draft, but I'm confident that anyone that's capped at 96 people or even 64, basically any national championship that's invite based has Monarch Draft. So yeah, little way to spice things up, right? Revisit a set that wasn't drafted as much as we probably wanted to, because of the circumstances, basically with the pandemic, and a way to not stick to outsiders and avoid, in a certain way, the issue that we already had with the different print runs, right? So, what has happened with Monarch? Okay, so I'm going to roll the first clip. Okay, so now we're going to open up a couple of Monarch packs to see the differences between them. We're gonna start with a Belgian one. Okay, let's see that. Let's check that it's from made in Belgium. Let's see if we can focus. Come on, webcam. My cam is not great. There we go. Made in Belgium. Now it works. Okay, let's open it and see what are the contents and how are the cards spread out. So all Monarch packs have a token at the bottom, at the rear. Just gonna take it out here so you can see it. And now we have the first three cards are class cards, and they are either Brute or Runeblade. There's gonna be at least one of each class, and the third one would be from one or the other. So here we have Seeds of Agony, which is a Runeblade card, Hungering Slaughter Beast, a Brute card, and Bandit Nemigon, a Runeblade card. So those three from the Shadow Heroes in the set. Then, same structure for the Light Heroes. We'll have three cards that are class cards, either for Warrior or Illusionist. We will have at least one of each, and then the third one will be either for Prism or Bolton. We have here Take Flight for Bolton, Herald of Tenacity for Prism, and Express Lightning for Bolton again. So 2-1, 2-1, guaranteed. That's how it works, okay? Now, All those are common cards, by the way. I didn't mention it, but they are all common. Now we have 5 slots, 5 cards that are either generic or talented cards, but not class cards. So they will be generic, shadow, or light. I'm not sure if there's a fixated spread among them. I believe there's at least one generic always, but we could have 4 shadow, 1 generic, and no light cards or something like that. That's a little more variable, but there are 5 common cards that are either generic, shadow, or light. Let's see. We have Frontline Scout, generic. Minnowism, generic. Void Wraith, shadow. Impenetrable Belief, light. And Ghostly Visit, shadow. Then there's the foil one. The foil can be any rarity. In this case, is any rarity and either class card or not a class card or whatever. This is focus camera. Focus camera. Oh, my camera is very bad. Well, we have a foil Riftbind. You can see it's foil, rainbow foil. It's a common card, it's a Runeblade card, that's perfectly fine. It's a foil, it's whatever. Then we have the generic equipment. In this case, we have Ironhide Legs. Alright. I said generic, I meant common. It doesn't have to be generic, it could be class card or talent. But it's common and it's equipment, guaranteed. And then the 2 rare plus slots. One for sure is going to be a rare. In this case is Tremor of Iarathel, a generic one. And the second one could be a majestic or legendary, or fabled even. But it's another rare, Plow Through for Bolton. Right, so again, 15 cards. First 3 talented cards, sorry. Either Brute or Runeblade, at least one of each. Next 3 class cards for the light heroes, either Illusionist or Warrior, at least one of each. Then 5 common cards that could be generic, shadow, or light. Foil, rainbow foil, since it's limited. Common equipment, in this case generic, but it could be shadow, light, or class. And then 2 rare plus cards. One rare guaranteed, and the other one could be a majestic. That's how a Monarch booster pack has looked like for basically all the time. As you have seen, this is what a Monarch booster looks like, or I should say what it has looked like for basically the whole lifespan of the set, right? And it's 3 Brute or Runeblade cards, 3 Warrior or Illusionist cards, 5 generics or talent cards, equipment, foil, and rare plus cards. Now, this is how a Japanese printed Monarch booster used for the purposes of the War of the Monarch pre-release events looks like. Let's roll the other clip. Okay, so now we're going to open up a Japanese booster pack from the Monarch Unlimited print run. This booster is already opened. This is because the local game store where I went to play the War of the Monarch pre-release event didn't receive their packs. There was an issue with the distributor, so I had to borrow a pack from somebody who played another pre-release event. If this sounds a little sketchy, I can just open up another pack in a couple days when they receive the shipment, and you could see by yourselves if you don't trust me, but I guarantee all the packs have the same structure like this one. So we're gonna see it. Let's check out that this is from Japan. You can see here, made in Japan. It's a little blurry, but Let's see if it focuses itself. Maybe like this, removing the background. Made in Japan. There you go. Okay, this is a Japanese booster. Let's see. The cards are also shuffled up, so it's not as clear cut as it should be, but let's pick them up as makes as needed. Let's take out first the token. Leave it here. Now, let's see what happens with the common shadow talented cards, right? So Brute or Runeblade. We have Unworldly Bellow, right? It's common, non-foil, and it's for Levaya. Rip Through Reality, common, non-foil, and it's for Chain. And then Hungering Slaughter Beast, common, not foil, and it's for Levaya as well. So 2 cards for Levaya, 2 class cards, sorry, and 1 Runeblade card. 2 Brute cards, 1 Runeblade card. Let's check out now the Bolden and Prism cards. We have Herald of Protection, common, not foil, okay, for Prism. We have Herald of Ravages, common, non-foil, again for Prism. So we should only have 1 common card specifically for Bolden, right? 1 Warrior or Light Warrior card. Now we have Second String, common, Warrior card for Bolden. And we also have Express Lightning, common, non-foil for Bolden. So we have a 2-2-2-1 spread amongst the common class cards. In this specific one, we have just 1 Runeblade card and 2 Brute cards, 2 Illusionist cards, 2 Warrior cards. Let's see the rest of the commons. We have here Rising Solar Tide, common, light card, non-foil, so a light one. Blood Tribute, common, shadow, non-foil. Overload, common, non-foil, generic. And Rally the Rear card, common, non-foil, generic. So 2 generics, 1 shadow, and 1 light. Then we have the foil. In this case, it's an Enigma Chimera, blue. This is the foil. You can see it when I turn it around, that it's foil, okay? It's a common in this case, but again, the foil card could be anything, could even be a boat. Then the common equipment, in this case it's another generic one, another Ironhide, but it could be shadow, light, or class, doesn't matter, but it's common equipment. And then the 2 rare class cards. In this case we have again 2 rares like before. We have Unhallowed Rites, okay, rare card for Chain, Runeblade card. And Dustpath Pilgrimage, another rare, in this case for Warrior for Bolden. So what's the big difference here? It's in this column right here. There should be only 3 cards, 3 common cards specifically for Bolden or Prism with the class type, right? And we have 4. It could have gone this way as well. This could have been a Chain card, and we would have had this, and would still be incorrect. Okay, remember the previous pack, we had 3 in this column and 3 in this one. Now we have 3 and 4. We could also have 4 and 3. Either way, it would be messed up, basically. And the slot that's taken out is the one from this side, the other common cards, which basically means that we have less generic or talent cast. Sorry. So that means that we have less generic or talent cards. In this case, we have 2 generics, 1 shadow and 1 light. If I recall correctly, we had 2 shadow cards before and 2 generics and 1 light. I have it here. Let's check it out real quick. It's the same booster as before. So we had 2 shadow cards. We had 2 shadow, we had 1 light, and we had 2 generic, right? So what's the big deal? We've changed a light card for potentially a illusionist or warrior card. So basically you have the same pool for the same heroes. Well, not really, because if you get a light card, it keeps you open. If it was a generic, but for example, it would keep you even more open, and you would get more information about your picks that being passed to you. So yeah, that's the whole thing. And this pack is just a representation of what's been happening with the Japanese print run. This is not different from the other Japanese packs, and this is different from all the packs that we've had before, and that's the issue we're discussing here. So as you might see, there's a little difference here, and it's that there are 7 class common cards instead of 6, and there are 4 slots that are for generic or talent cards. This is a big deal. It doesn't seem like much. It's just like, well, you swap one common generic or shadow or light card for a class card. Well, that makes things very different for any draft experience, because it makes first of all, it makes staying open way harder because you don't have as many flexible cards. You have more class cards. Second of all, it makes reading the packs way harder, because you might get a pack with a, let's say, 2-1-1 distribution amongst the common class cards, and you would know now that someone has picked a class card, but you wouldn't know which one. If it was the other way around, if you only had 6 cards and you got the same pack for the pick 2, you would know that they hadn't picked any class cards, right? And many other differences. It has a lot of implications. It makes being less generic cards means that there are less 6+ power attacks, which makes Tangential Prism way better because there are less Phantasm Poppers. That also makes Levaya worse because most of their attacks either have block depth or they don't block, so they cannot hedge on generics to use them for the Prism matchup. And there are plenty of other differences that I don't think we need to discuss. We've touched on some specifics just to make to get a feel about how different it is. And why is this important? Well, since calling Antwerp, when my fellow Spaniard Pablo Pintor won the calling and retired Olden for good, there hasn't been much of itch to play Classic Constructed for the last maybe month and a half. And since it was announced that national championships would have Monarch Draft, most of the people I know, myself included and many other people, has been testing Monarch Draft, right? To prepare for that event, using that spare time between the last important events of the Outsider season and the release of That's Still Done. That time span has been used for a lot of people to draft and practice Monarch. To a unpleasant surprise that we've seen this weekend, that now the new boosters that have been made, I assume specifically for the War of the Monarch pre-release events and preparing for that Monarch draft for the Nationals, and perhaps to draft at Nationals, have a different distribution than the one that we've been working with for over a month and a half, or even if you've drafted Monarch in the past, maybe years. That doesn't make any sense. Why should you change that at that point? Why? why you make the same mistake twice in a row? Why? Why does it happen again in the same place? Because remember, when we discussed the issue about outsiders, when we compare the two of them, the one that wasn't right according to the product sheet was the Japanese one. And these new boosters that we've received for these events, the War of the Monarch pre-release events, were from Japan, and they are not how they were supposed to be. So what do we do with that? Are we going to draft with those boosters in the national championships? This isn't something that affects only the 400-ish people that will compete at the Pro Tour. This affects thousands of people around all the national championships in the world. 96 in Spain, a few hundred in the USA, another 96 in many countries in Europe, some other countries with 128 players. All of them have seen how their packs and their preparation has changed all of a sudden, with no notice, with no reasoning behind it. And what should we do about this? Why is this happening? What can we do? Why did you just waste a month and a half for a preparation? This isn't something great, and this is the second time it has happened in a row, in 2 consecutive releases, and that's what's concerning mostly. Because you might think, well, it's just a card that changes. It's not that much. I've seen a lot of people say that it's not that much, but it is quite a bit. This is going to determine who goes to the World Championship, who has a chance to win the, I assume, $100,000 for the championship prize. Why are you changing this now? Why you make the same mistake again? This is something that has to be addressed, and that's something that shouldn't get under the rug and sweep it away. No, this is something that we have to acknowledge as a community, right? And also the LSS by themselves should acknowledge this and clear things up and let us know what's gonna happen. Was just a small batch issue? Are the rest of the packs well, or are we just sticking to the new ones? And if so, why didn't you tell us before? Why have we wasted a month and a half of our lives practicing for this event? I don't know. Maybe I'm too intense about this issue, this topic, and then a bit catastrophic. But I'm sorry, but I like it a lot. I like this game. I like it a lot. It's giving me. Last year alone, I traveled more than the rest of my life combined because of this game. I've met so many awesome people from all around the world, and I love this game, and I want it to be successful and to be as great as we all think it can be, because it's a great game. It's awesome, and I know the company cares about it as well. But these issues hurt in a competitive standpoint, because, as I said, all the practicing that we've been doing has basically been not meaningless, not worthless, but way less impactful. Second of all, it hurts collectors, because there's not only the fact that the cards are distributed in a different way. They're common cards after all. They are not very pricey, but also the cards themselves have some glaring differences. The texture is different, the coloring is different. If you send, let's say if you send someone 2 cards, one from a Japanese booster and one from a Belgian booster, side to side, they might think one of them is fake, because they don't look the same, and they might be perfectly real, both of them, but they're glaring differences. And third, it hurts consumer confidence, right? You messed up outsiders packaging or booster configuration or whatever, and you've done it again with these, and there's a quality control, quality assurance, quality management issue here. I don't know how that happened, who was responsible, but this isn't great news for the game, and I really care about it, and both as a competitive player and as a collector and someone and a content creator and someone that loves the game. So please, 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 I ask you, Legend Story Studios, to address this, to fix this, and be more careful. Don't make this mistake again, because it happened twice in a row. The first one was already sketchy. You cannot have the same mistake again right after that. It's like mind-boggling for me. So please focus and make sure this game goes to what it deserves, which is to the very top, because it's great. Don't mess up, please. Don't mess up. Well, that's the end of the rant. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you can share this through social media or whatever to make it get to the people that matter, that make people that can make decisions about this and have impact. And yeah, see you soon. This is Blog. Bye bye.